Okay, welcome everybody to the outside the box workout for today. So we're doing a 15-minute AMRAP. We're starting off with 50 step-ups. You're just going body weight here, so you can alternate your pattern. I find that's always easiest to get into a flow when you alternate. So you step up with the right leg first. After you come down, you step up with the left leg, and you just go back and forth. These are kind of slow moving, but you want to get them moving a little bit quicker, get that heart rate up just a little bit. They take a little bit of time, so just plug through all 50. You should be able to go unbroken here. If you do need a break, absolutely shake those legs out. After that, you're going for 25 single arm deadlifts. So you're going to have the object in one hand. You're going to go for 25 deadlifts. Switch hands to the other hand, 25 more deadlifts. Then you're going to go for 25 single arm thrusters. So same thing, but with thrusters. So start off with one hand, take a break, do the other hand, and then 50 Russian twists. With the Russian twists here, guys, you can use an object if you would like. If you want to just do body weight Russian twists, you can go there too. You want to be able to do the 50 unbroken, or maybe do like 25, take a little breather, then 25 more. If you have to break it up more than once, you probably might have gone a little bit too heavy. Same rules apply for the deadlift. The deadlift, you should be able to do all 25, take a break, shake out the legs, then do 25 on the other side. Thrusters will be a little bit trickier, especially if you're using the same weight for everything. You might want to do something like 15 thrusters and then 10, and then go to the other arm and do 15 and 10. You're not going to get too many rounds out of this one. The rounds will be low, but you just want to try to keep it moving here. So 15 minutes is in that endurance range where you're not sprinting, but you're just trying to keep moving, keeping awareness in your breath. Once we are done that workout, we are going to get into the afterburn, which is 10 sets of one broad jump. So you're just going to warm that up first before you start actually counting your 10, and then you're going to go for 10 max effort sets. I always like putting a line on the floor or something like that to test after my first one to see if I can keep getting past that line, see if I can keep getting further. I've been working on these broad jumps for a little while now, so hopefully it's getting further and further along as you go. Enjoy today's workout. We'll see you next for the warm-up.
Alright guys, we're here for the warm-up. So we're going to start off with an active lat stretch. So get you guys just coming down to the floor. Probably done this one before in class. We're going to reach the opposite corner of our body there, and we're going to push our lat down to the floor, so in the opposite direction of our hand. And as we're here, I want you guys to kind of pull that shoulder blade in and then push that shoulder blade away as you're doing that stretch. So we're going to go 60 seconds, just alternate between those two positions, trying to lengthen the lat as much as you can and trying to get some activation in that scap. Once you're done 60 seconds on one side, repeat on the same on the opposite side. Then we're going to go into our warm-up, which is 10 down to 2 of reps for plank scap retractions, Bulgarian squats, and strict overhead press. So for the plank scap retractions, guys, you're going to get into that plank off your forearms. Stay nice and static, core tucked in. We're going to drop those shoulders in, so we're going to let those shoulders kind of sink down. And then we're going to push those shoulder blades away as much as we can and separate them on our mid-back. And as we're doing this, guys, we don't want to let our hips sag, so make sure you're keeping that core tight. You want to move just through those shoulder blades. Another way to think about that, guys, when you're on the ground, think about pushing your forearms into the floor as you're pushing away, and then getting relaxed in those shoulder blades as you're coming down. Just make sure you're in that nice plank. We're going to be doing 10 reps to start off. Then we're going to go into some Bulgarian squats. We're going to go for 10 per side here. So with those Bulgarian squats, find an object where you can elevate that one foot. From there, we're going to bend at the knee, trying to keep ourselves as tall as possible, and making sure that when we're coming down that we have our weight in our midfoot, so we're not getting onto that toe, we're nice and planted. Then we're going to drive straight up. Just be careful you guys are not dropping your chest over. Try to stay as tall as possible as you're coming down and back up. 10 reps on one side, then 10 on the opposite. Then we're going to go into some strict press. So Grab an object, we're gonna go 10 reps on the one side, keep this nice and slow. I like to keep the descent nice and slow as I'm coming down, so I'm gonna press it up, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then keep that elbow in as I'm descending that weight down to my shoulder. And again, reset, make sure everything's nice and tight, and again, press straight overhead. Another good cue is to think about kind of keeping that bicep close to the ear as you're overhead, stay nice and locked out. Also, don't forget, squeeze the shoulder blades at the top every single rep. I'm trying to get that activation. So once you're done 10 reps, repeat. You're gonna go 8, 6, 4, and then all the way down to 2. Once you're done, we'll see you guys next for the workout movements.
Alright guys, so we're starting off with some step ups today. So for our step up, normally I would recommend that you pick a box that when your foot is on top of the box, your knee is just a little bit above parallel. So I'd have to add a little bit of height on that box to make it happen. However, if you're kind of new to this movement, you don't want to go too high here, any height is fine. So for that step up, what we're thinking about is you're going to step up, lean a little bit more forward with that upper body, keeping that flat back, pushing up from the heel, stepping up, and then back down. Then you're going to alternate to the other leg. So now I'm going to step up with my right leg, lean forward, step all the way up, lean down, and then I'm going to switch to the left and to the right as I go. If you guys want to challenge yourself, you can add a little bit of weight to that, put a dumbbell on your back or a backpack or something like that. Totally up to you here. You want to be able to get through all 50 without a break, however, so you just want to be moving at a consistent pace for that. A single arm deadlift, we like to place that item in between the feet, so your deadlift width is going to be about where you squat. You can go a little bit wider if you want to get into that sumo stance, that's totally fine as well. And what I want you guys to think about here is we're going to think about that hip hinge. So I'm going to think about pushing that hip back and then drawing my hips down after that. You can see my shin is still perpendicular to the ground. So the difference if I was squatting is my shin would be going a little bit forward. I actually want to push that hip back a little bit, get my hip up in the air a little bit, and then I'm going to hold on to my object. Pushing with the legs, opening with that hip, we're going to push that hip back, and then lower the object again with those legs. I want you guys to squeeze your butt at the top, make sure the abs are tight. Sometimes when we squeeze our butt, we tend to overarch. Let's make sure we don't do that. Also notice how my head and neck stay nice and neutral. So when I'm at the bottom of that deadlift, I'm not looking straight, I'm not looking down, but I'm kind of looking just maybe a couple feet out in front of me. I want the top of my head to my tailbone to stay in a nice and straight line. If you guys have the mobility and you find it easier or a different type of challenge perhaps to stick to your normal deadlift position, so feet under that hip, and we're just going to keep that dumbbell or kettlebell outside the stance. It makes it a little bit trickier, but it might be a good challenge for you today to do that as long as you keep that back nice and flat. That's the most important part.
Try to use just one object for those thrusters. So we're going to hold that in the front rack position. We're going to come down, again, nice and controlled, just like that sumo deadlift. Coming down with control on the way up. Be explosive with the hips and drive that object straight overhead. Make sure, again, with that squat on the way down, we're staying tall with those elbows, making sure they don't drop at the bottom. Example, guys, for that Russian twist, what we want to get into is that kind of hollow body position, but almost a little bit higher off the ground. So we're kind of sitting on that butt area, the lower butt there. We can keep our knees bent as an easier progression, or go a little bit harder by keeping our legs straight. With that object, what I want you to focus on is trying to twist the body towards the direction that you're going towards. So if I'm going towards the left, I want to twist that shoulder, both shoulders towards that direction, and not necessarily just move the object in that direction with my arms. So to really get the most out of this exercise, guys, really try to twist your shoulders towards the direction that you're twisting towards, and then back into center. Same thing on the right side. 9 reps there, guys. We're gonna use a weight that you can go unbroken, but not too fast, so try something that will challenge you a little bit. All right, guys, so weather is great this day. Let's get outside. Let's do these broad jumps outside. 10 by 1 for these broad jumps. You're going to do standing broad jumps, so don't run into it. You're going to be standing at a spot. Try and pick a line or anything in the grass or wherever it may be. Start out slow, so don't get too aggressive right off the bat. Give yourself some time to kind of adapt to getting a little bit farther and opening up those hips. What you're going to do is kind of get yourself into a hang position, so pushing your hips back, shins are vertical to the floor. Then you're going to think about throwing your hips forward and your arms forward as you're jumping, so you're jumping forward to get some horizontal distance. As we're doing this, guys, the first one, again, nice and slow, or not as aggressive to kind of get into it. As you get a little more comfortable, you can get a little bit more aggressive with the hips. Try and get a little bit farther each time. Again, only do it as you feel comfortable, so don't get too aggressive right off the bat. Build up to it. You're doing 10 sets of one, so see what you can do by your 10th set here. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy the afterburner. We'll see you guys tomorrow.